Example 1. Jackson purchased 1 3/4 cups of blueberries in order to make blueberry tarts. There are 3/8 cups of blueberries in each blueberry tart. How many blueberry tarts can he make? So step 1 is to write a division expression. And since the 1 3/4 cups, since the 1 3/4 cups of blueberries is the total amount of blueberries that he has, and there's 3/8 cups of blueberries in each tart, what we're trying to do is figure out how many 3/8 are in 1 3/4, or in other words, 1 3/4 divided by 3/8 is our division expression. Now step 2 is to rewrite the division expression so that both numbers are fractions. Or in other words, we need to take our mixed number 1 3/4 and we need to change that to an improper fraction. So if you recall back to 5th grade, we multiply the 4 times the 1 to get 4, and then we add the 3 to get 7 for our numerator, and the denominator stays the same as 4. All right, so the 1 3/4 becomes 7/4 as an improper fraction, divided by, and the 3/8 is already a fraction, so we can just leave it the way it is. Step 3, to rewrite the division expression so that both fractions have a common denominator. And in this case, our denominators are 4 and 8. So a good common denominator would actually be 8, since 4 goes into 8 twice. So if we take 7/4 and multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2, we get 14/8. Divided by, and of course the 3/8 doesn't need to change because the denominator is already 8. Step 4 is to use a model in the number line to find the quotient. So you notice we're working with eighths here because that's what our denominator is. So I am going to label the number line accordingly. Of course, we're going to start at 0, but my increments here are going to increase by 1/8 each time. So I have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and so on. And I'm even going to label 8/8 instead of 1. I'm going to just label as 8/8, and then 1 and 1/8 I'll just label as 9/8. Now I don't need to go past 14/8 because that is our dividend. 14/8 is being divided by 3/8, so I don't need to go beyond that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a tape diagram out to 14/8. There we go, and I'm going to just split it amongst each section here along my number line. Make sure they match up very nicely, neatly. So you notice if I count each of these rectangles inside my tape diagram, there should be 14 of them, and each of them represents 1/8. Now remember what we're doing here. We're taking 14/8, we're dividing it by 3/8, or in other words, we're trying to figure out how many 3/8 are in 14/8. So what we can do now is circle groups of 3. Since each one of these is 1/8, if we circle 3 of them, that represents a group of 3/8. Now you'll notice I have 2 sticking out at the end there, but that's not a full group of 3, so I cannot circle it. All right, but we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 whole groups of 3/8, and a remainder of 2 out of our groups of 3. So that's why 14/8 divided by 3/8, or in other words, 1 3/4 divided by 3/8 is 4 2/3. Now I want you to notice what would happen if we took 7/4 divided by 3/8 and we use the same process that we've been using for the last few days, which is if we multiply by the reciprocal. So we have 7/4 times 8/3, and of course we can multiply straight across. 7 times 8 is 56. And 4 times 3 is 12. So we get 56/12, which if we simplify 56 divided by 12, 12 goes into 56 4 times, because 4 times 12 is 48. So you notice we get a remainder of 4 and 8/12, which simplifies to 4 2/3, the same thing. So there are two different strategies that you can use to divide mixed numbers and fractions. You can use tape diagram with a double number line, or we can use multiplication by the reciprocal of the second fraction.